You know, usually when we think about history, we picture these like massive static things.
Right, like a grand museum exhibit behind thick glass.
Yeah, exactly. Or some fragile document locked in a climate-controlled vault somewhere. We have to go totally out of our way to see them.
We compartmentalize it. We treat history as a destination, something entirely separate from the frantic pace of our daily routines.
But then you reach into your pocket or dig around in the cup holder of your car to pay for parking, and you pull out a handful of change.
Just everyday items.
Right. And suddenly, that grand museum exhibit is sitting right there in the palm of your hand. We're walking around with a meticulously engineered canvas that is, honestly, just hiding in plain sight.
It really is.
And that is the exact premise of today's deep dive. We're looking at a comprehensive Wikipedia article detailing the Australian $1 coin. We want to use it as a shortcut to understand how a nation's identity and its shifting values are literally minted into its currency.
It's a surprisingly deep topic for something we just toss in a tip jar.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because to really appreciate the art and the culture stamped onto this coin, we first have to understand the logistics of its physical birth. Like, why did Australia suddenly decide they needed this hefty piece of metal in the first place?
Well, it requires looking back at how fragile paper currency actually is. For a long time, Australia relied on a paper $1 note.
I can imagine those got gross pretty quickly.
Oh, totally. They degrade fast.
Right.
But plans had been brewing since the mid-1970s to completely replace it. You have to imagine the bureaucratic inertia involved in changing a nation's fundamental unit of exchange.
Not an overnight thing.
Not at all. It took nearly a decade of planning before that monumental shift finally happened on May 14, 1984.
Transitioning from a crinkly, fragile paper note to a hefty 9-gram metal disc. It feels less like just changing the look of money and more like upgrading from a basic paper ticket to like a permanent VIP token.
That's an incredibly accurate way to frame it. The economics heavily favor minting a durable coin over constantly reprinting fragile paper notes.
Right, because paper tears, it absorbs moisture.
Exactly. While paper might be cheaper to produce initially, its lifespan in the general economy is astonishingly short. A metal alloy coin is the ultimate long-term investment for a central mint.
And the physical specs are so precise, it's exactly 9 grams, right?
Yes, 9.00 grams. It has a diameter of 25.00 millimeters and a thickness of 2.80 millimeters.
And the composition of that 9-gram weight is an alloy made of 92% copper, 6% aluminum, and 2% nickel.
It's built to resist corrosion and essentially outlast the person spending it.
I noticed the source specifically describes the edge of the coin as having an interrupted milled texture with exactly 77 notches.
Which is a brilliant bit of functional inclusive design.
Yeah.
And interrupted milling means the edge isn't completely smooth, but it also isn't covered in continuous ridges.
Like quarters in the US or something.
Right, it has sections of ridges, those 77 notches, interrupted by smooth segments.
So it's a deliberate physical code. If you are visually impaired, you can reach into your pocket and instantly differentiate it from other coins.
Absolutely. The tactile identification is crucial.
And vending machines probably use that same physical geometry to instantly verify it, right?
Oh, yeah. The machines rely on it. And the sheer scale of manufacturing required to deploy this new physical code across an entire country is staggering. In its very first year, 1984, the Royal Australian Mint in Canberra pumped out 186.3 million of these $1 coins.
Wait, 186.3 million in 1 year?
Just in 1984, yeah.
That is a massive injection of durable currency into the economy. And today, it sits as the second most valuable circulating coin, behind the $2 coin.
Though there are technically other ones.
Right. Looking through the source material, I was shocked to discover there are actually non-circulating legal tender coins out there with values of $5, $10, and even $200.
Yeah, but those higher denominations operate in a completely different realm. They're minted strictly for the numismatic market.
The coin collectors.
Exactly. They are legal tender in a technical sense, but you're never going to use a $200 coin at the grocery store. The $1 coin, however, was designed to be the physical workhorse of the everyday economy.
But because it was built as this permanent infrastructure, that durable nature demanded artwork that could stand the test of time. Let's look at the reverse side first, the tail side. It features the iconic 5 kangaroos design.
Created by Stuart Devlin. Bringing Devlin in for this project was a masterstroke of aesthetic continuity, honestly.
Because he did the earlier coins.
Right, he was the same designer who created Australia's first decimal coins back in 1966. His kangaroo design is dynamic and just unmistakably Australian.
But while the reverse captures that timeless wildlife, the obverse, the head's side functions completely differently. That's where the timeline gets dynamic.
Well, because Australia is a constitutional monarchy, the reigning monarch isn't just a symbolic figurehead. They are the legal authority backing the currency.
And for decades, that meant Queen Elizabeth II. And it wasn't just one static image of her either. The Mint used 4 distinct portraits over her reign.
Let's see, you have the original 1984 head by Arnold Machin.
Right.
Then from 1985 to 1998, they updated it to a portrait by Raphael McLuff.
And Ian Rank Broadley from 99 to 2009.
Exactly. And finally, from 2019 till 2023, they used an effigy by artist Jody Clark.
All while maintaining a very specific layout for the text, with Australia on the right and Elizabeth II on the left. But I have to push back on this a little bit. Why bother updating the Queen's portrait 4 different times?
What do you mean?
Well, doesn't constantly changing the obverse design just create confusion at the cash register? Like, pick one good portrait in 1984 and stick with it.
What's fascinating here is that we often view currency merely as a static tool for math. But by constantly updating the monarch's portrait, the Mint treats the coin as a living document.
Oh, I see. As the monarch ages, the coin ages.
Exactly. If they had kept the 1984 portrait all the way to 2023, the coin would have felt entirely disconnected from reality. Updating the effigy ensures the currency accurately reflects the era it was minted in.
So when you look at the portrait, you are seeing a literal timeline of the 80s or the 90s. It turns every handful of change into a geological core sample.
Precisely. And that timeline requires constant maintenance, which is why we saw a massive modern shift recently. In December 2023, the $1 coin entered circulation bearing the portrait of King Charles III, designed by Dan Thorne.
The living document continues. Now, here's where it gets really interesting. Because the coin is a permanent physical object carrying government authority, it creates bizarre friction in the real world. By law, you can only use $1 coins to pay off a debt up to 10 times their face value.
Meaning a maximum of $10 in a single transaction.
Right. Imagine trying to pay a massive restaurant bill with a literal bucket of $1 coins. It's like a real-world spam attack on the cashier.
It would be a nightmare.
The government actually had to institute a 10-coin limit just to protect businesses from being buried under an avalanche of metal.
Well, legal tender laws are fundamentally designed to facilitate smooth transactions. If a business was legally forced to accept wheelbarrows full of loose coins, commerce would completely grind to a halt.
Because of the weight and the counting.
Exactly. The physical logistics become an immediate barrier to trade. So the law steps in, declaring the value as only legally compulsory in practical, manageable quantities.
It's a fascinating paradox. They create this incredibly durable infrastructure and then immediately have to put a speed limit on how people use it. And that strict control leads us to another strange quirk. The missing years.
Ah, yes.
According to our sources, if you go digging through your coin jar right now, you are never going to find a circulating $1 coin stamped with 1987 or 1989, 1990, 1991, 1992, or 2012.
Those missing years are a masterclass in macroeconomic balancing. The Mint isn't just a factory blindly pumping out product. They act as a valve for the physical economy.
Because in 1984, they produced 186.3 million of them.
And they don't degrade. So by 1987, the public's pockets were entirely saturated. If the Mint had continued to produce tens of millions every year, it would have been a catastrophic waste of resources.
So they simply turned the valve off. The only way you could get a 1987 coin was by purchasing a special uncirculated set directly from the Mint.
It creates deliberate scarcity for collectors while protecting the general economy.
And speaking of the collector's market, we have to talk about mint marks. No $1 coin with a mint mark was ever officially released for general circulation.
Right, a mint mark being that tiny letter stamped on a coin to indicate which facility produced it. It acts as a strict boundary between the pristine collector's world and everyday commerce.
But the boundary gets breached. If you do find a mint mark on a regular coin, it means someone actively popped it out of a protective collector's card and used it to buy, like, a coffee.
A beautiful little collision of two entirely different economies. And that total control over the coin supply reveals that the Mint views the dollar as a powerful cultural megaphone.
Which brings us to the massive world of commemorative coins. This is where the reverse of the coin becomes a billboard for the nation's values. The variety is wild. You have the International Year of Peace in 1986,
The Bicentennial in 1988.
Landcare Australia in 1993, the Year of the Outback in 2002, They even dedicated a multi-year series to the centenary of ANZSI from 2014 to 2018.
Each of those themes reflects a serious, deliberate choice by the government about what the populace should be reflecting on.
But then you look at 2020 and 2021, and they completely flipped the script with the donation dollar. They minted 12.5 million of these in 2020 and another 5 million in 2021. And this was the world's first $1 coin explicitly designed to be given away to charity.
It's a fascinating concept.
But so what does this all mean? Does creating a donation dollar contradict the very nature of money? You're minting a piece of currency specifically designed not to be saved or spent on yourself.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, it unpacks how these coins reflect a nation's shifting values. We are deeply conditioned to view currency as a mechanism for personal accumulation. The donation dollar actively subverts that.
It interrupts the automatic way we process change.
Exactly. It utilizes the exact same distribution network to distribute a moral prompt. It forces an active choice about your values right at the cash register.
A moral prompt hiding in your pocket. But speaking of shifting national values, we go from solemn military history and charitable prompts to
a cartoon dog.
Yes. In 2024, the Mint released highly specific Bluey coins, featuring the Healer family and famously Bluey and Bingo dressed as grannies.
The cultural dominance of Bluey cannot be overstated.
And for 2025, they rolled out colored coins showing Bluey and Bingo celebrating an Australian summer Christmas.
It highlights the incredible contrast of what we value. You have the solemn weight of ANZSI on one hand and the lighthearted joy of a cartoon dog on the other. Both are immortalized in metal.
History isn't always serious, and the Mint is still writing this timeline. Just weeks ago, on February 27, 2026, they released the Mob of Six Roos to celebrate the 60th anniversary of decimal currency.
It beautifully references Stuart Devlin's original kangaroos, but updates the narrative.
Let's do a quick recap. We started by looking at the 9-gram physical upgrade of 1984.
Then the rotating monarchs, tracking the changing eras.
The $10 legal limit and those mysterious missing years. And finally, the cultural canvas of commemoratives from ANZC to Bluey.
Which leaves us with a rather provocative thought. As we plunge deeper into a cashless tap-and-go society, will these meticulously crafted metal discs eventually cease to be functional money entirely?
Wow, yeah.
Will they transform purely into physical records of what our culture valued in any given year?
That completely reorients how I view my own wallet. We aren't just carrying around a way to buy a coffee. We are carrying around the metallic fossils of an era that might be ending. We want to warmly thank you for joining us on this deep dive today. Keep your eyes open the next time you receive your change. You never know what piece of history might just be hiding in plain sight.